Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the presentation of our colors. Freeze and horns. Order. Arms. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Colors, post. Guard, forward, arch.
Attendees, seats. I always want to be part of an honor guard or something. That's as close as I'm going to get. Welcome to the H. Thomas Guerry Awards for Excellence in Law Enforcement. We're so pleased to be able to present today to you some of the finest of the finest, the members of the law enforcement from throughout Santa Barbara County, the various departments, for the wonderful deeds they've been doing. And as all of us know, this is just the tip of the iceberg of what's happening out there. There is every day officers doing things. They go out every day knowing that they may have to put their life on the line that day. So think about that whenever you're out there meeting with members of law enforcement. Please give them that respect and knowledge that they're doing that kind of job for us. And we feel so pleased to be able to honor them here today, those that have reached that level of superior performance or receiving the H. Thomas Guerry Award for Valor. You know, something I was noticing that this is the first time, I don't know if you all saw the fact that one of our honor guard members had a dog with him. So we had an honor dog. So instead it's just an honor guard. So that was something. It's like, I never really knew they could hire a police officer who needed a seeing eye dog, but I guess, you know, I'm assuming that's why he was here. Okay, on behalf of the Santa Barbara Citizens Council on Crime, and that's all the members that we have here sitting up right behind me at these tables, I'm not going to take the time to introduce them because when I've asked in the past, I say I'd like to introduce you all, they say, you know what, it's not about us, it's about those officers getting the awards. So I'm going to honor their request and not take the time to introduce them. We do, however, have a few dignitaries in our presence, and we do have the mayor of Lompoc, John Lynn. Are you here, John? Right there. Thank you for being here. And here's a fun one for me, is the vice mayor from the city of Goleta, happens to be a member of our committee, Roger Sevis. And then a lot of the elected officials are out doing what we're paying them to do. They're out representing us, so we have their representatives here representing them. So representing Congressmember Lois Capps, we have Rachel Condor. Representing Assemblymember Das Williams, Jeanette Sanchez Palacios. And representing the Board of Supervisors and Salud Carvajal's office, Lisa Valencia. And I know people sneak in on me as I'm making those announcements. Did I miss anybody that would like to be introduced? Anybody that's, okay. All right. One of the things we'd like to start off with is giving a little history of the event. And we have someone that's on our committee that knows this history better than anyone. And I'd like to bring her forward at this time. and introduce to you Jane Grand.
Thank you very much. I welcome you on behalf of Tom Guerry's family. I am the representative this year. I don't have his sister with me today, but for those of you who are not aware in the room, I was married to Tom Guerry on January 13th of 1970. So we are very happy, the Guerry family is very happy to have a member or two or three here every year to express our appreciation to the citizens of Santa Barbara and the Citizens Council on Crime for continuing to remember Tom and to preserve his memory. This year, the council tasked me with giving you a short history of this awards ceremony. And that, of course, must include the fact that on January 13th of 1970, Tom Guerry was killed in the line of duty as he and his partner attempted to apprehend Frank and Bruce Bowersox at Brinkerhoff and Ortega Street here in Santa Barbara. I wanted to concentrate today in my comments on some of the positive things that occurred after Tom's death. And just for my law enforcement friends, particularly in the back of the room, I think one of the most positive things that happened was that the Santa Barbara Police Department officers immediately apprehended Bruce and Frank Bowersox. And within 6 months of the crime, the Santa Barbara County District Attorney's Office successfully prosecuted both brothers, had them sentenced and on their way to prison. So I thought that was the most positive thing that happened right after the crime. On a personal level, the citizens of Santa Barbara rallied around the Guerry family, helped myself, my daughters, Tom's parents. Through contributions, they created a trust fund for my girls, and my daughters used that money gratefully during their college years. A group of citizens in the spring of 1970 created the Citizens Council on Crime. And the purpose of this council is and was to preserve Tom's memory by honoring the successful careers of his peers. And the first award ceremony took place in May of 1970, and there were 6 honorees. At that time, they obviously were friends of Tom Guerry. Over the years, department heads of our law enforcement agencies have responded to the council's request for nominees, and on average, we have honored 11 law enforcement personnel for the last 42 years. Totaling 481 members of the law enforcement community have received awards. Of that, 302 law enforcement personnel have received awards for either their superior performance or their skill in conflict resolution. And 179 peace officers have laid their lives on the line in the course of their duties to receive the H. Thomas Guerry Award for Valor. These figures include today's 11 nominees. So thanks primarily to the efforts and continuing dedication of our council president, Bob Hart, who was himself a UCSB police officer and a Guerry Award recipient. And thanks to the generosity of our vice president, John Tevenen, and his wife, Joyce, we are meeting together again for the 43rd time. And I think if there's nothing more positive about Tom's passing, it's the fact that we come together every year as we are today to honor his peers. And I thank you again for attending.
Thank you, Jane. As I had said before, we couldn't have asked a better person to come up and give us a history of the awards. At this time, I'd like to bring up our first recipient, and for those of you that are following along in the program it's actually page 3, but the first loose page inside, we'll be taking the awardees with one exception from the bottom up, and we're going to start slightly out of order with the District Attorney's Office. So if I can have Joyce Dudley, the District Attorney, come up, and Greg Wilkins from the District Attorney's Office. Thank you.
The average runner sprints until the breath in him is gone. But the champion has the iron will that makes him carry on. For rest, the average runner's legs, when limp, his muscles grow. But the champion runs on leaden legs, his spirit makes him go. The average man's complacent when he does his best to score. But the champion does his best, and then he does some more. The name of that poem is The Champion. The author is unknown. Greg is a champion. Anyone who has worked with him knows that it is his strong character which makes him the superior law enforcement professional that he is. And the hallmark of his strong character is his impeccable dedication to duty. Greg joined the District Attorney's Bureau of Investigation in 2006 after serving 26 years with the Santa Barbara Police Department. While he was a detective at the Santa Barbara Police Department, I had the honor of prosecuting several cases with him, including stabbings, rape, hate crime, and murder. It was indeed a great honor. Now, his primary job is to supervise the day-to-day activities of the Bureau of Investigation's South County operations. He also provides litigation support to the most complex cases in the South County and conducts special investigations throughout Santa Barbara County. Additionally, Greg is a recognized expert in the area of interviews and interrogation. His ability to develop and maintain rapport with witnesses in the most violent, horrendous cases is particularly noteworthy. At this point in his career, there is no type of investigation Greg has not completed successfully and nothing he can't handle. Greg recently completed the California Commission on Police Officers Standard and Training Supervisory Leadership Institute, that's SLI, a demanding program which took a year to complete. True to form, Greg brought back and implemented the knowledge and insight that he gained. As a supervisor, Greg is deeply appreciated and respected greatly by both his troops, the prosecutors, and by Chief Investigator Dave Saunders and me. Dave Saunders writes, Greg has created an environment in which people have a strong desire to work together to achieve a common objective. He consistently involves his staff in problem solving and decision making while providing them with the benefits of his expertise and support as needed. He consistently exhibits a positive work attitude, commitment to teamwork, and willingness to help others. His professionalism in the form of a friendly, kind, easygoing style, it is a pleasure to have him in our office. Finally, Greg's wonderful sense of humor reminds us that it is our responsibilities, not ourselves, that we should take seriously. But Greg is much more than that. He is an adoring family man. To his beautiful wife, June, his 3 successful children, and his fabulous mother. He is also a great friend to his colleagues, to his supervisor, Dave Saunders, and to me. Clearly, there is no better word to describe Greg Wilkins than superior.
You know, I'm trying to direct traffic up here and tell Greg he says, no, I'm going to go hug Jane. He's a smart man, and as well as being a champion. Seems like every now and then we get a new chief in our midst, and this year is no exception to that. We have the new chief probation officer for Santa Barbara County, Beverly Taylor. If you'd come forward to give an award to Joe Talagon. Joe?
Well, good afternoon, and I would like to thank the Santa Barbara Citizens Council on Crime for this great opportunity to honor the men and women in law enforcement. And for Santa Barbara County, Joe Talagan, his peers and superiors nominated him for this award today, so it is a great honor that I'm here today to announce his honor and read a little bit about Joe. Senior Deputy Probation Officer Joe Talagan began his career with the Probation Department in 1998 as a juvenile institutions officer at the Los Prietos Boys Camp. He was promoted to Senior JIO in 2002 and worked at the Santa Barbara Juvenile Hall for 2 years before being promoted to Deputy Probation Officer in 2005 and Senior DPO in 2007. Officer Talagan successfully handles a unique assignment, the supervision of the targeted gang enforcement caseload. He maintains enhanced supervision of the highest risk probationers who are also identified as being gang involved with the use of GPS to more effectively enforce the orders of the court. In this role, he has the responsibility of both juvenile and adult offenders, requiring expertise in the laws that govern both. Recognizing the balance between Officer Talagan works closely with fellow law enforcement and treatment providers. He gives his probationers attainable goals and expectations so that they can progress and that proactive case management is achieved. Officer Talagan and his fellow TGI officers in Lompoc and Santa Maria have demonstrated through positive outcomes that this supervision model is an effective means to manage this high-risk and potentially violent population. Joe is a strong, steady presence in the adult field unit. He currently holds the position of field training officer in addition to his high-demand assignment. Officer Talagan is dependable, hardworking, and a team player. Recently, he responded to the home of a young gang member on his caseload. The young man was obviously delusional, displaying odd behavior, including sitting on the floor worshiping a cup that contained a variety of items such as a battery and other items. In Joe's calm demeanor, he was able to take him into custody after a brief struggle, convincing the young man that he was there to help him, and quickly gained the compliance and trust of this probationer. Although the young man had not previously been diagnosed with a mental illness, after this encounter, the youth was referred for services and received the needed services. It is my privilege and honor to acknowledge Senior Probation Officer Joe Talagan as probation's recipient of the Santa Barbara City's Citizens Council on Crime Award for superior performance.
You know, while he's shaking hands, if there's any of you in the back that want to sit, there's 5 seats together here, there's 4 seats together there, 1 more up here, so feel free to come on down. We won't worry about the disruptions, too hot, just be standing back there. Okay, so next we'd like to bring up Chief Olson of the UCSB Police Department to honor Sergeant Matthew Bowman.
Okay, welcome. I'd like to. You got the biggest fan in the back of the room. All right, Matt. Sure. Just like to extend my gratitude to all the guests here today, dignitaries, for taking time out of your busy day. I know it's meaningful to the men and women in the back of the room, and we're here to celebrate their accomplishments. So thank you. One thing I've also realized this year is that I've come enough years now so I don't get to go first. So I think that's a plus for me. So thank you. So let me tell you a little bit about Sergeant Matt Bowman here next to me to my right and to your left. So from the time Sergeant Matt Bowman began his career as a UCSB police officer, he quickly garnered and gained the accolades of university administrators, the police department leadership, and his peers. And since being promoted to the rank of police sergeant in 2008, Sergeant Bowman has again not only assumed new and increasing levels of responsibility, but also consistently and clearly remained beyond reproach in ambition and initiative, and I'll get to that specifically a little later. Sergeant Bowman is a true self-starter and continuously has served as an example for others to emulate. Public service is Matt's mantra, and as the department's public information officer for many years, Sergeant Bowman routinely and effectively worked with the media, the Office of the Chief of Police, and other university departments, and a plethora of external public agencies during numerous crisis situations. His comprehensive and thorough ability to communicate effectively and timely was nothing less than noteworthy. Additionally, special event planning on a university campus can remain challenging. Sergeant Bowman has excelled in his duties as special event coordinator, where he's met with a dynamic, fast-paced environment where his sound judgment and leadership abilities are readily recognized. Meeting with community stakeholders to plan for dignitary visits, various political speakers, or athletic events are just some of the challenges that Matt Bowman has consistently done an excellent job in protecting the university and reduced its risks. Moreover, crime prevention is a large component to the community policing paradigm. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, and Sergeant Bowman has certainly embraced this philosophy with unbridled enthusiasm and has quickly demonstrated his leadership skills by effectively mentoring and supervising officers assigned to problem-oriented policing projects, criminal investigations, and has recently been assigned to the patrol at the Ala Vista Foot Patrol Station. Sergeant Bowman truly subscribes to a contemporary approach towards policing and is focused on the SARA model, where his strong education and awareness models and designing a comprehensive strategy to address crime trends, the fear of crime, and quality of life issues in the campus community. Finally, one very notable achievement that I think that I will bring to your attention today is the fact that Sergeant Bowman created and implemented the campus community's annual lighting and safety walk. This safety-oriented annual event was developed through Matt's efforts and his strong collaborative teamwork with associated students and other stakeholders in the campus community. This event has engaged in a proactive measure towards reducing crime and the fear of crime throughout the campus community. Sergeant Bowman, in his spare time, has gone to school and received his Bachelor of Arts degree with a 4.0 GPA and has continued on with his master's degree. So that's what he does in his spare time. Sergeant Bowman's demonstrated skills and actions are a true testament to his continued commitment to community policing and serves as the epitome of an effective law enforcement leader. It is with the utmost enthusiasm that I award Sergeant Matt Bowman the H. Thomas Guerry Award for Administrative Excellence. All right, my man. Thank you. All right, good job.
While he's finishing up there, I'll tell you a quick story. Every now and then we have something, you think it's all planned, everything's going well, somebody comes up and throws something in your face and is like, whoa. Captain Maples of the Highway Patrol came up to me and said, I'm here for my recipient. And I'm going, Captain, we don't have anything from the Buellton office of the Highway Patrol. Maybe we didn't get it. And I'm thinking, oh no, we have a recipient that we didn't know anything about. Well, what I didn't know is Captain Maples was 23 days ago appointed as the commander of the Santa Barbara station. So everything's good. But he gave me a little scare, not even knowing he was giving me a scare. So, Captain, if you could come up so that we can honor Mark Daniels of the California Highway Patrol.
First off, I would like to thank the Santa Barbara Citizens Council on Crime for sponsoring this very prestigious award. This year's nominee for the H. Thomas Guerry Award from the Santa Barbara CHP office is Officer Mark Daniels. Officer Daniels graduated from the California Highway Patrol Academy in August 1986. He reported to his first duty assignment at the West Los Angeles area office and was soon assigned to the West Los Angeles Motor Squad. In August 1989, Officer Daniels transferred to the Santa Barbara area office, where he is currently assigned. In 2011, the Santa Barbara area experienced one of its busiest years to date. Officer Daniels readily rose to the occasion. In accordance with the strategic goals of the department, Officer Daniels conducted over 1,000 enforcement contacts during 2011, and that included issuing over 700 citations. Officer Daniels safely patrolled over 26,555 miles during the year, and that's on a motorcycle. In addition to his regular patrol duties, Officer Daniels serves on numerous special assignment details, including area range officer, safety training instructor, law enforcement active shooter instructor, emergency medical combat medic, Coastal Division critical incident investigation team, and he's a member of the Coastal Division warrant service team. The core mission of the CHP is to provide the highest level of safety, service, and security to the people of the state of California through 5 departmental goals. Goal number 1 relates to saving lives through education, engineering, and enforcement. And goal number 2 is to maximize service to the public and assistance to allied agencies. Officer Daniels exemplifies these goals as well as our departmental organizational values of fairness, respect, ethical practices, and equitable treatment for all. He truly is the best of the best. Officer Daniels is the officer every aspiring CHP officer attains to be. His extreme attention to detail and unwavering work ethic makes him the go-to officer when situations turn bad. He has trained scores of officers in advanced officer safety techniques, and his assignment as head range master directly contributes to saving officers' lives. Officer Daniels' assignment on the protective service detail allows him to protect dignitaries the world over, from the President of the United States to the Dalai Lama. He maintains a dedicated training agenda and continually seeks to improve his skills and gain enhanced knowledge to better serve the community. This is demonstrated by the fact that Officer Daniels oftentimes attends training at his own expense. Officer Mark Daniels' 22-year tenure in the Montecito and Santa Barbara area allows him an intimate working knowledge of the community. He can quickly identify and assess traffic safety concerns in the community he patrols. Officer Daniels' expertise has led to countless safety and security protocols throughout the county. His selfless attitude and commitment to the community is also demonstrated in the numerous occasions when he is called on his vacation days to come in, and he voluntarily will come in, not only on vacation days, but regular work days during times of emergencies and disasters. For outstanding work ethic and a true desire to make a difference in the community, the CHP and the Santa Barbara Citizens Council on Crime honors Officer Mark Daniels with its award for superior performance.
And now if we have Chief Mitchell of the Guadalupe Police Department come forward for an award for Frank Medina.
Good afternoon. I'd also like to extend my thanks to the Citizens Council for over 4 decades of this event. And it's so important because not only do we honor the sacrifice and memory of Officer Guerry, but we continue to remember and honor the accomplishments and the performance of officers today and in the future, I hope. So I thank you again. It's just so critical for us, and we appreciate that. This award is presented to Corporal Frank Medina. Corporal Medina has been with the Guadalupe Police Department for 9 years. He served as the advisor to our Police Explorer post for over 6 years and has donated extensive amounts of both personal time and finances in furtherance of the post. This is Corporal Medina's second time here. In 2008, he received the Award for Valor. He's currently assigned as a uniformed patrol officer where he serves as both a field training officer and a watch commander. He goes well beyond what is expected of an advisor to a law enforcement explorer post. One example is that he provides an annual camping trip as a reward for the explorers. This is highly anticipated by the post, and for many people in our community, it's the first time they've ever actually been on a camping trip. And Corporal Medina involves his family as his wife graciously volunteers to serve as a chaperone for our female explorers. While his list of accomplishments and contributions to the Explorer post is lengthy, one of the most striking examples occurred last year. Just prior to the start of the annual Law Enforcement Explorer Academy, the agency that usually conducts the training advised that due to budget cuts, they would be unable to conduct the academy. Since completion of the academy is a requirement for many of the police agencies to allow the explorers to be a full participant in the program, this news created a significant problem. And the timing was even more significant as the explorers needed to complete the academy before they could compete in the annual regional competition held in Paso Robles at the end of summer. Corporal Medina, without any urging or assistance from me initially, stepped right up to the challenge and volunteered to hold the academy. He invited participating agencies to send their explorers. With less than 2 weeks to prepare, he undertook the sizable task of preparing the training schedule and curriculum. Prepared a full schedule of classroom instruction, field exercises, physical training, and what is now known as the dreaded pepper spray experience. While many Guadalupe officers were pressed into service as instructors or tactical officers, Corporal Medina was the driving force and the central figure in the establishment, execution, and completion of the academy. At the end of 2 weeks, the Law Enforcement Explorer Academy graduated 22 explorers from the Guadalupe, Santa Maria, and Lompoc police departments. Corporal Medina has given himself tirelessly to both the Guadalupe Police Department's Law Enforcement Explorer program and to the youth in our community for over a decade. It is for his dedication and selfless service to the young people in our community that the Santa Barbara Citizens Council on Crime is proud to offer Corporal Frank Medina with its award for superior service. Congratulations. Looks good. Well done.
I think we have 3 two-time recipients this year out of our 11, which is a pretty amazing number for these awards. So coming up next, if we could have Chief Dabney from the Lompoc Police Department come forward to give his award to Sergeant Nathan Flint, who is also a past recipient.
Well, the district attorney stole my poem, so I have nothing to say. And I'm breaking the mic. I want to introduce you to a man of incredible integrity, whom I trust wholly with a sensitive unit in our department. He's a family man. His family's here. His father is also an award recipient from our department. He's been a volunteer with our department and also worked for the probation department. And his father's wife, and then his Then Nate Flint's wife is here with their young daughter. And his second family is here. Everyone who is assigned to the Gang and Narcotics Enforcement Team is here as well. So he's a family man on very many levels. Detective Sergeant Nathan Flint is currently the supervising officer of the Lompoc Police Department Gang and Narcotics and Enforcement Team. We call it GNET. Sergeant Flint began his career with the Lompoc Police Department as a reserve officer in 1997. He was appointed as a full-time officer in 1998. Early in his career, Officer Flint established himself as a natural leader. He was assigned as a field training officer and then a narcotics detective. Officer Flint was promoted to the rank of agent in August of 2004 and returned to patrol operations, where he held the ancillary assignments of arrest and control instructor and on the department SWAT team. Agent Flint serves on the executive board of the Lompoc Police Officers Association and has participated in many of our outreach programs, such as our Citizens Academy, the Special Olympics programs that we do, charitable sporting events, and many others. In fact, he was the manager of our championship softball team as well. So I think we beat Santa Maria. So. Yeah. Agent Flint's outstanding performance and leadership earned him letters of appreciation and commendation. He was a recipient, as has been mentioned, of the H. Thomas Guerry Award for superior performance in 2005. Agent Flint was promoted to the rank of sergeant in 2006 and continued to build his legacy of excellence by earning the 2008 Ellen McCaslin Award for team spirit, dedication, optimism, and loyalty. Sergeant Flint was assigned as the supervisor of the Lompoc Police Department Gang and Narcotics Enforcement Team in January of 2010. He immediately set about securing highly specialized training and developing the expertise of his team. In 2011, a narcotic canine was added to GNET to increase their effectiveness. GNET has played a significant role in solving gang-related homicides and aggravated assaults, including a home invasion robbery and shooting that took place in Santa Barbara. The team has conducted several lengthy in-house wiretap operations and seized large amounts of illicit drugs headed for the streets of our community. Last year, in Operation Lights Out, Sergeant Flint's leadership facilitated and coordinated an effort between the local, state, and federal agencies that resulted in the arrest of 52 felons for drug trafficking. And last year, the GNET statistics were the highest in recent history, with 41 search warrants served, 159 felony arrests, 58 misdemeanor arrests, seizure of over 10 pounds of illegal drugs, including heroin, base cocaine, methamphetamine, with a street value of $432,000. They also seized 20 firearms and got those off the street, and $75,000 plus in illicit drug money. Time doesn't really allow me to talk about all of the successes that this unit has had, but it suffices to say that under Sergeant Flint's leadership, over the past 2 years, literally every member of GNET unit has received some form of special recognition from sources like the California Attorney General's Office, the Santa Barbara District Attorney's Office, the Santa Barbara Citizens Council on Crime, and the Lompoc Police Department for their outstanding performance and dedication and service. If true leadership is motivating others to the top of their game, then Sergeant Nathan Flint is in fact a true leader. It is for his dedicated efforts that the Santa Barbara Citizens Council on Crime is proud to award Detective Sergeant Nathan Flint with the award for superior performance.
I don't know if you noticed that as we try to hand out these plaques, there's little things sliding around that we're trying to balance on there. And it's a little ribbon that goes on the uniform that's worn right under the badge. So if you see someone wearing a blue ribbon for superior performance or a black ribbon, means they're a Valor winner, congratulate them. They're throughout the community This is the cream of the crop. They're identified on their uniforms directly under their badge. Next up from the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Department, we'd like to honor Wayne Flick. And if I could have Under Sheriff Jim Peterson come forward. He's here representing Sheriff Brown today. Just one slight correction is Jim's doing the presentation, but the sheriff's wife is here representing him.
I was going to mention that. Good call, Bob. Actually, Chief Dabney stole my line about the district attorney also, so I have nothing else to say. So, but really, I would like to thank the Santa Barbara Citizens Council on Crime. You know, we know the community doesn't take us for granted, and by being recognized here today, truly understand that we don't take this for granted. We really do appreciate this event and the yearly appreciation, and we'd like to thank the council for that. It is my great honor to tell you a little bit about Sheriff's Deputy Wayne Flick. He began his career with the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office on January 2nd, 2007 as a deputy trainee. He's worked in the South County Operations Division, the Court Services Division, North County Operations Division. Deputy Flick comes from a law enforcement family. His father is a retired CHP officer. His brother Steve is a canine officer with the Santa Maria Police Department, and his brother Brian is a detective with the Sheriff's Office as a detective. And his wife Megan is here. His two children, Gavin, 6, and Grady, 4, are here, along with his mother, Christine, and his stepdad, Leon. So thank you very much for being here. Before joining the Sheriff's Office, Deputy Flick served with the United States Marine Corps from 1999 to 2003 in support of Operations Northern Watch, Enduring Freedom, and Iraqi Freedom. He has also worked as a corrections officer for the Pima County Sheriff's Department in Arizona and the Federal Bureau of Prisons in Lompoc. On January 8th, 2012, at 3:15 in the morning, Deputy Flick was on patrol in the lower area of Vandenberg Village when he noticed a van making several U-turns late at night. Sensing something was not right, he continued to follow and observe the vehicle. As the vehicle made a right turn, Deputy Flick noticed the van's license plate light was not operable and in violation of the California Vehicle Code. He took a decisive action and initiated a traffic stop, and he contacted the driver, who was a 47-year-old male from Corona, and a passenger who was a 14-year-old girl who avoided any eye contact with Deputy Flick. The driver claimed that he was the girl's cousin staying with her parents. He said that he and the girl were on their way to Walmart at 3:15 in the morning. Deputy Flick had the driver exit his vehicle, and he noticed his pants were unbuttoned and his zipper was down. He immediately called for backup. Once another deputy arrived, Deputy Flick remained with the driver while the girl was taken home. When the young girl was safely home, she confessed that she had been forcibly taken from her home by this man. She further revealed that he had sexually molested her just prior to being stopped. When confronted with this new information, the suspect admitted he had been having an internet relationship with the victim since she was 12 years old. Through further investigation, Deputy Flick learned the suspect had arranged to meet the victim early that morning. The suspect had lured her outside of her home where she expected to meet a 16-year-old boy. Before she could get away, the suspect grabbed her, covered her mouth, and physically carried her to the waiting van. The terrified victim was helpless and paralyzed by fear. The suspect was arrested on kidnapping and molestation charges with a bail set at $1 million, and the investigation revealed that he was an internet predator. It's unimaginable what could have happened to this teenage girl had not an alert, diligent, and inquisitive deputy not been on patrol that night. Due to his skill, his luck, and his sixth sense of a law enforcement officer, he prevented any harm from coming to her. We often say that being at the right place at the right time is half the battle, but knowing what to do when you get there is equally important. When confronted with an unusual situation, Deputy Flick relied on his skills as a beat cop, his knowledge of the law, and his investigative prowess to protect the innocent. Sheriff's Deputy Wayne Flick, his keen power of observation, expertise, and professional actions in the early morning hours of that fateful day led to his discovery of a dangerous crime in progress, and he took a sexual predator off the streets and quite possibly saved the life of a young teenager. On behalf of the Sheriff's Department, a father, and for these reasons, the Santa Barbara Sheriff's Council on Crime honors Sheriff's Deputy Wayne Flick with its award for superior performance.
Thank you all for doing that, because I agree that deserves a standing ovation. That concludes the 7 recipients we have for the Superior Performance Awards. We're now going to go on to our 4 recipients of the H. Thomas Guerry Award for Valor. But before we do that, let's just one more time give a round of applause to those 7 winners of Superior Performance. If we could have from the Santa Barbara Police Department, Chief Sanchez come forward, please, and Detectives Jeff DeForest and Brian Miller.
Yeah, you fit. I want to recognize two great detectives, 2 great guys with a lot of passion for what they do, and we're just glad that you're all here to acknowledge this great work. Detective Brian Miller was hired November 28, 2005. After completing his field training and working patrol, he was elected to be a member of the gang suppression team. He then was selected to the Santa Barbara Police Department SWAT team. In February 2011, Brian Miller was promoted to detective. Detective Jeff DeForest was hired by the Santa Barbara Police Department in June of 2002. Jeff has worked patrol and as a member of the gang suppression team. In March of 2009, Jeff was promoted to detective. He spent time as a burglary detective before becoming a narcotics detective. On July 14, 2011, at approximately 1200 hours, the Santa Barbara Police Department received a call from the United States Marshals regarding a wanted subject by the name of Michael Moore. Moore, a former law enforcement officer, had abducted his 9-year-old son, Jack Moore. Moore had picked up his son on a regularly scheduled visit and drove him to their family home. He then proceeded to burn the home to the ground and began traveling cross-country in an effort to elude authorities. Moore was armed, had purchased additional firearms, and was conducting research to travel to a country that did not participate in extradition. An individual with law enforcement experience acting in such a manner is a clear indicator of desperation and a lack of concerns for others' safety. Historically, suspects who commit drastic acts, like burning their home to the ground, have also participated in violence against police in an effort to elude apprehension. Typically, individuals in these situations feel entitled and fight vehemently to stop anyone from separating them from their child. Given the scenario, this situation had the potential to become a very serious and dangerous to hundreds of civilians arriving on the Amtrak train in Santa Barbara. A plan was developed with Amtrak Police and Homeland Security to have a uniformed arrest and reaction team inside the train station while 6 plainclothes detectives attempted to locate and take Moore into custody using the element of surprise. The conductor, who had seen Moore and his son on the train, explained that there were hundreds of passengers on board and that there would be more passengers getting onto the train at the Santa Barbara station. The train consisted of 14 passenger cars, and Moore and his son were in the 14th car. They were assigned specific seats, but had the freedom to move throughout the train. The plainclothes officers broke up into teams of 2 and spread out on the platform to watch the rear, middle, and front of the train. On this particular day, Detective Jeff DeForest and Detective Brian Miller were partnered, and placed toward the rear of the train. When the train arrived, hundreds of people moved in and about the train. Conflicting information was received that indicated Moore was actually in the 7th car, not the 14th car. Detectives shifted toward the 7th car. As Detective DeForest and Detective Miller walked past the 9th car, Detective Brian Miller spotted Michael Moore out of the corner of his eye, walking past an open doorway out of the train. Detective Miller had approximately 1 second to see Moore, identify him, and make the decision that he was their primary suspect. Detective Miller informed Detective Jeff DeForest of what he had seen, and they shifted to that car, but then lost sight of Moore. A pre-established plan was put into place. Michael Moore was taken into custody by Detectives DeForest and Miller when Moore exited the train's bathroom area. Moore initially fought the detectives, but through verbal communication, the detectives were able to talk Moore into halting his fighting, and Moore complied then with the detectives' demands. Moore was quickly and efficiently removed from the train, and his son was safely taken to the Santa Barbara Police Department. It is for their exceptional effort and exemplary performance on this day that Detective Brian Miller and Detective Jeff DeForest are awarded the H. Thomas Guerry Award for Valor.
You know, just prior to this event, we had a press conference held over at the courthouse for the Valor winners. And when I got there, the wind's blowing, if you're not familiar, out there, and it was like a wind tunnel as it came through at the courthouse under the arch where we're trying to hold the press conference. And I thought, oh, these poor guys in their dress uniforms, their hair is going to get so messed up before they come to the event. If you happen to notice, all 4 of our Valor winners had no concern about their hair. So at this time, I'd like to bring forward again Chief Dabney from the Lompoc Police Department and Detectives Sergio Arias and Brian Guerra.
For a second, I thought Bob was going to talk about my hair. Wow. Well, thank you again, and thank you to the Citizens Council on Crime and the Guerry family for all these awards. I want to tell you a little bit about Detective Sergio Arias and Detective Brian Guerra. Detective Sergio Arias, on the outside, began his law enforcement career as a police officer trainee with the Lompoc Police Department. He graduated from the Basic Academy and became an officer in 2006. Once on patrol, Officer Arias' natural talent for ferreting out criminal activity became immediately apparent. He is hardworking, energetic, self-motivated to succeed. Detective Arias received the award for superior performance from the Citizens Council on Crime in 2008 for leading the department in the number of arrests, for facilitating the arrest of a violent felon while off duty, and for physically disarming a man with a firearm intent on committing suicide by cop. In 2009, Detective Sergio Arias was assigned to the Lompoc Police Department Gang Narcotics Enforcement Team and has several achievement citations and 3 official commendations to his credit. Detective Arias is also a member of our department SWAT team. Detective Brian Guerra began his law enforcement career as a custody deputy with the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Department. He saw the error of his ways and transferred to the Lompoc Police Department. Just saying. Transferred to the Lompoc Police Department as a police officer in 2007. Over the next few years, Officer Guerra established himself as a dependable, hard-working officer and was appointed to the Lompoc Police Department SWAT team and Gang Narcotics Enforcement team in 2009. In March of this year, Detective Guerra was approved for an ancillary assignment also as a firearms range instructor. One evening in November of 2011, Detective Sergio Arias and Detective Brian Guerra were working gang suppression patrol when they attempted to make a traffic stop on a vehicle occupied by two known gang members. As the vehicle came to a stop, the suspects exited the vehicle and began running. Detectives Arias and Guerra pursued the suspects into an alley, and a shot was fired by one of the suspects. Utilizing what little cover was available, Detective Arias and Detective Guerra chased the suspects on foot. The detectives witnessed the two armed suspects enter the rear of a residence and coordinated responding patrol units to establish a perimeter. Unbeknownst to the detectives, the two suspects had run into a residence occupied by a family with two small children. The family fled the residence through the front door as the armed suspects entered through the rear door. Officers made contact with the family and confirmed that the suspects were in fact inside the residence. With the residence secure, the Lompoc Police Department SWAT team was able to employ tactics that ultimately resulted in the surrender of the suspects without any injury or significant incident. Several loaded firearms and illicit drugs were recovered from the suspects and their vehicle. I was asked today by the media about the significance of this event, and the significance is that their courage under fire and their restraint to act appropriately is remarkable. So, for their courage and determination to apprehend violent criminals that would do harm in our community, Detectives Sergio Arias and Detective Brian Guerra are hereby awarded the H. Thomas Guerry Award for Valor.
Well, those are our final recipients, and as they're going through their line there, I just want to take a minute to say, you know, as they've been receiving these awards, there's been a number of times that there's been reference to their parents being here, their spouse being here, things of that sort. And I just want to say thank you on their behalf to all of you for helping them become who they are. So thank you to all of you. Now, if you're not aware, you should all be aware, hopefully you are, that we're serving dinner immediately after at the Cabrillo Arts Center. So come on down by the beach and we'll have a nice dinner with everyone. If you're watching on TV, sorry. It's tape delayed, it wouldn't do any good. But please come on down. One other just little minor note of housekeeping is that this building locks at 5:30, so it's fine to go out, but you can't get back in. So please don't leave your purse or something here in the room and think, oh, I'll run back in and get it. 'Cause once you're out, unless there's somebody else to let you back in, you're out. So we'll see you all down at the beach. We'll enjoy a nice dinner together. Thank you very much. Thanks for being here.